Hello, this lesson is for 5.01 expressions, and today we're going to spend a lot of time doing some PEMDAS work. I know you're excited about that. So remember, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. And that PEMDAS, just remember, as we've discussed before, means that we handle parentheses first, exponents second, multiplication and division from left to right third, and addition and subtraction from left to right on the fourth step in our ex, expression solving. Okay, no live class connects this week. Okay, remember our class connect code of conduct for when we come back to live classes. Okay, and our mission that we always like to go over, of course, we have our vision too, but the mission is to provide an exemplary, individualized, and engaging educational experience for all students. And of course, math says EIE cubed. Okay, now let's go over our standards. We are going to start new standards today, so we're going to interpret expressions that represent a quantity in terms of its context, and we're also going to interpret parts of an expression such as the terms, the factors, and the coefficients. So what is a numerical expression? It is something that consists of numbers and one or more operations. So remember, operations are addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, okay? And so here, these are all different expressions. Okay, all different expressions. Now, this video, go ahead and pause the video that you're watching right now. This video is in the Symbaloo, okay, and I've named it PEMDAS video, so you can watch it right now. So put this video on pause and go watch this other video because it's really cool and very explanation, has good explanation for it. Okay, so now that you've watched that video, our order of operations, okay, these are the order of operations in steps, and here's the order of operations down here with using the PEMDAS, okay, or please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, okay, and I just kind of went over that a little bit before, so I'm going to go ahead and we're going to move on. We've also been doing this in class a lot this past week anyway. Okay, so I'm going to write PEMDAS up above. And this is a good idea anytime you have a test, especially or the EOCT. As soon as you're allowed to write stuff on the test, go ahead and write PEMDAS up at the top of your paper. Okay? Don't write it but before, but write it at the top of your paper after you start taking the test. Okay, so in example A, we don't have any parentheses and we don't have any exponents, but we do have multiplication and division. We have 5 times 2, so we'll handle that first. 5 times 2 is 10. And then we have our addition and subtraction. We have addition, so that is equal to 17, and that's all that you have to do. Now look what parentheses will do to your problem. Okay, they're going to change it up. Parentheses here say that I have to do what's inside the parentheses first, so I actually have to do 5 times 9 because 2 plus 7 is 9, and 5 times 9 is 45. So look, we have the same exact numbers between these two expressions, but totally different answers because we used the order of operations and we worked both of them properly. So let's do a couple that are a little bit more complicated. Okay, so write PEMDAS up at the top. For this one, I'm going to put this one A. Okay, so for A, and this one will be called B, we have no parentheses. We have no exponents either, but we do have multiplication and division. I'm just going to underline the multiplication and division. Okay, so we're going to do that in the order that they come in from left to right. So I've got 3 times 7, which will be 21. And then I got a minus sign. Then I'm going to do 10 divided by 2, and that's 5. Now you could go ahead and multiply that by 3 if you want in the same step, but I like to show every step. So I've done one step all the way down, but I still have that multiplication. So 5 times 3 is 15. Now we'll do the addition and subtraction. 21 minus 15 is 6. final answer. But then in B, I have parentheses. Here are my parentheses. So I have to do everything inside the parentheses before I can do anything outside of the parentheses. So let's look inside the parentheses and discuss the order of operations even when inside the parentheses. So here I've got parentheses inside parentheses. I'm going to do 3 minus 4 divided by, and then I've got this set of parentheses right there. 12 minus 8 is 4. Now within the parentheses, I have to look at the order of operations. I have no exponents. I do have division. Okay, so I'll do that next. So I'm going to do 3 minus, well, 4 divided by 4 is 1. And now I'm going to continue to finish what's in the parentheses. 3 minus 1 is 2. Now I can look at the whole place, the whole problem. Okay, now the parentheses that I still have out only represent multiplication at this point in time. So if you wanted to, you could rewrite it like this. Okay, I don't when I'm normally doing the problem, but you could if it makes it less confusing for you. So then we're going to do the multiplication. 2 times 2 is 4. And now we're going to finish it up with the addition. 4 plus 4 is 8. Okay, so what do we do if we have a fraction bar? Okay, it's a grouping symbol. Okay, so it separates the numerator from the denominator. So I put this little note up here. If you had 5 plus 3 quantity squared over 1 plus 2 to the 5th minus 23, the fraction bar, remember, like I said, it's a grouping symbol. So what it does is really it puts the numerator in parentheses and it puts the denominator in parentheses. So this is another way that you could write it, although I don't suggest it. Okay, because you still want it to be a fraction. So we're going to handle what's in the top parentheses, and that's 5 plus 3, so that would be 8. And we're still going to square that. Okay, and then we're going to handle the bottom parentheses. So we have to do some solving on this one. So we've got an exponent in the bottom set of parentheses. So I'm going to do that first. Now 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. So we're going to do 5 times of those. So 2 to the 5th power is 32 minus 23 here. So we're going to continue on. We're going to keep solving this thing. So on the top, my next step for the top would be 8 squared. 8 squared is 64. On the bottom, though, my next step is to add and subtract from left to right. Okay? Actually, I can drop the parentheses because we'll be done after that. So 1 plus 32 is 33. 33 minus 23 is 10. Okay, and then we can simplify this. 2 goes into both 10 and 64, so we've got 5 on the bottom, we've got 32 on the top. That's as far as we could go unless we make it a mixed number. In a lot of algebra, we just leave them as improper fractions because we would have to change them back to an improper fraction anyway. So I'm going to leave it right here. At this point in time, if you change it to a mixed number, it would be 6 2/5. But usually we'll leave it as an improper fraction. Okay, so this one is where we're going to work backwards. Okay, you can get different values for an expression by changing the placement of grouping symbols. Okay, so if you have 2 times 8 plus 2 to the third power times 10, and we want to get expressions that we want to make this equal 20,000. Okay, and we also want to make it equal 80,000. Okay, so depending on where we put some grouping symbols, we can make that happen. Okay, so let's look at that. So let's take a look at this. If I do, let's group some things that we wouldn't normally group here. So these two things would normally be grouped, and so would these two. So if I put parentheses around the 8 and the 2, let's see what would happen if I do that and solve it. Okay, so 2 to the third power. Okay, so we do the exponents inside there. 2 to the third power. 2 times 2 is 2 times another 2 times 2 is 4 times another 2 is 8. I'm getting ahead of myself and saying the wrong things. Okay, and then times 10 and then times 2. Okay, well, okay, so let's give that a try. So we've got 2 times 16 times 10. Okay, 2 times 16 is 32 times 10 is 320. So that doesn't work. So that's one example where we place the parentheses in the wrong place. Let's try another thing. So a lot of this is a little bit of trial and error. Okay, so let's give a try if we put the parentheses. Let's rewrite this. 2 times 8 plus 2 to the third times 10. Let's try putting the parentheses in around the 2 and the 8, the 8 and the 2 again, but let's take the cube part and place it on the outside of those parentheses. So let's do 2 times 8 plus 2 is 10 to the third times 10. Well, 10 to the third power is just 1 with 3 zeros after it. Okay, times 10. Well, 2 times 1,000 is 2,000 times another 10 will add another 0, which will be 20,000. So we've gotten the first one that they wanted us to find. Okay, it takes a little trial and error. So now along those lines, let's see if we can get to our other example. Okay, this one's a little more tricky. So let's do 2 times 8 plus 2. And let's have the cube on the outside again. So really what I did was I placed parentheses around here and then another set of parentheses around the addition. Okay, and then times 10. Okay, so let's do what's inside the parentheses. 8 plus 2 is 10, so I've got 2 times 10 cubed times 10. And 2 times 10 is 20, so we're going to do 20 cubed times 10. And 20 times 20 times 20 is 8,000. And when we multiply that by 10, we're going to get 80,000. Okay. So that is how you can work backwards to group things together to make them come up with an answer that you want to come up with. Okay, now these are several problems that you can work. Okay, and give them a shot. I am going to put into the LMS the answer key for these problems so that you can work some of them as practice if you would like, if you think you might want some extra practice on these. Um, so if you need to, go ahead and do that. Things that you need to do today definitely should be review the lesson in the LMS, complete the DP for 1.05 DP, and then make sure that you're working in units 3 and 4, and also start working on 5.01 in Study Island. So do those things in Study Island as well. Have a great day.